What's up, YouTube? Double R here, RC Richie. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the finale of the SCX24 brand new Forerunner. Yeah, I just had it out on the rocks the other day, and I didn't give any closing thoughts, man. But I just want to say real quick, this is the first time I had a stock motor outdoors before even upgrading. And I gotta say, man, ever since I got this has probably been the most fun SCX24 ready to run. I guess because knowing what I know now, all of my experience, this one I was sitting on some parts. And not to mention, man, that V1 ESC is what made it most enjoyable for me. That paired up with the 88 turn, I gotta say, that's plenty motor for this. Even with all the upgrades I had on here, I had heavy wheels, we had axles, running 33% overdrive, and that 88 turn was still keeping up and it had plenty of pep. Only problem was we were starting to lose drag brake, so depending on your modulation, trying to get that worm gear to engage, but if not, it will kind of just get a little loose and then kind of free coast. But like I said, there was never a time that it felt underpowered. But with all that being said, your boy Richie was sitting on parts, so we just went ahead and upgraded. So let's just go ahead and show you what we did so far. This is definitely an old chassis that I had, and this has definitely been through the ringer. We have some holes that have been drilled out and all kinds of stuff. And this is actually the one that is adjustable. This slides to a longer length. And even back there, that's a little wonky. So we'll see how long this lasts. But yeah, we have the trusty MB100. And all my MB100s, I kind of shaved them down on the edges. They do have a weird shape to them, so they just don't fit appropriately. We got some sticking out corners and stuff. But yeah, now we can fit in there, as you can see. This is a Fly Sky GT5 receiver. We have the PTK that I swapped out from another rig. Threw some gold hardware throughout. Was able to utilize the back hinge still. It's my first time still able to keep that. Normally I would probably just scrap that out. But using a hinge, actually one less mounting point that you have to worry about, you know. As far as the magnet situation is, we just cleared inside this lip. Because if not, that kind of would have been a little wonky as well. I mentioned it before, this bumper is mounted to the actual chassis through this mount right here. So we can take it off and it can be attached, but now you just take it off on these mounting points. And what I did is I just put a little bit of hot glue on here, a couple spots. You can actually probably adjust it, slide it in and out. But the further I notice, the further I come in, I'm going to get even more rubbing. Was playing around with the different rims. I had the trenchers on here again. Love the trenchers, but what favored me towards the trencher is the trios. And if you have a set of trios, you know, trios have an adjustable offsets in them. These hubs as well. So actually these hubs will flip the other way, and I put them to this way to actually bring them in closer. So before we was getting a lot more rubbing, and as you can see, we did some trimming, but I'm probably gonna have to trim up some more. The rear fender was trimmed up, but yeah, just a little bit more in there. But yeah, let's get it. I think that's pretty much everything. But like I said, man, that other chassis, the stock chassis, is definitely performing. There wasn't a whole lot of times that I was doing high centering. So for those who feel they need to upgrade, I don't feel like you need to just right away, you know? Definitely focus on other things versus the chassis. Little hack too I figured out too, which I never done before in my previous chassis, is another way to play around with the shock mounts is if you do free up that battery tray, it's going to free up some holes. But now since you have the holes that are freed up, what I did is I moved those body posts around. It's better for me just to show you and explain, but and it just allowed my shocks to lay down a little bit more. Another thing, stock shocks. These are pretty good as well. Yeah, I just absolutely love these Patagonias. You know, the Steely's okay. They are custom. Built those a while back. But it's just what they're sitting on. I'm just never going to swap them out, you know. Definitely have a lot more control now with the MB100. Unfortunately, you can't hook up the MB100 to the 88 turn because of the connection. I'm sure you could do some splicing, but I wasn't trying to get into all that. Definitely still getting some rubbing. You have to take the Dremel in there a little bit more. And you know me, I like to put my personal touch on things. I threw this actual decal on from one of the kids that came with the Bronco, just to try to make it look a little different before I get around to giving it a paint job. Well, I got the blinking light in there. Means the power's going down on the MB100. Cool little feature. bumper came off. Let me fix that. Okay, we're gonna have to continue that without that front bumper. Like I said, I had it in there hot glued, so we definitely gotta, if we're gonna decide on keeping it, reinforce it a little bit better. You can see it's not bad without it. Looks more compy. Ooh, that's not good. I need to hit that line again. Excuse me. HOG. You know, sometimes your servo will throw you off, especially if you have a high torque servo. By you twisting it, will make the tail end whip around. So you definitely got to watch your driving. I've learned that sometimes. Might have my wheel turned to the side, and then I move it a little bit, and it'll just make that back end just wag. I'm like, oh man, that's how strong they are. We won't do it for all of them though, but just a little note. I know I'm gonna be dying soon, this battery. Yeah, the power goes down to I don't know how much percentage, then eventually it will just shut off. Alright, let's end this video there. Let me grab this off the chassis real quick. So yeah, you can see I still have the V1 in there. But this is what I was talking about. These actual standoffs are flipped. This one goes on the left, this one comes over here. And it actually moves the mount. So you have this location and you have this one up here. So it's a cool little trick that I picked up after 3 of them. I just learned that, but definitely helps for all the stock people. This one pretty much had to stay the same because this tray is connected to it, but I was definitely running in this mount. If you run into any of these holes, it's actually going to lift the chassis. So that's not a good hole. Maybe you can get away with this one if you have a longer shock. But yeah, you just got to play around with all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, man, that chassis was pretty decent. Do I recommend doing this? Absolutely, you know. If this is what you into, upgrading. You can see I have the double bend high clearance links, and that is an 8-degree skid. So we definitely gain performance by you doing this, you know. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in on this little build series. Possibly the next time you see Jean Grey, maybe have a new paint job, maybe possibly a new personality. We'll see. But thank you all for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.